All right, it is being reported that the Taylor Swift subpoenas, the one to her individually and the one to her law firm, have now been withdrawn by the Baldoni people. There is nothing on the court docket in the DC case or anywhere else saying they've been withdrawn. You don't have to do that. You can just not enforce it. Right. So like a subpoena is one of those things that you could send it out and then the person says, no, I'm not responding to this. And you just say, okay. And you never touch it again. You don't have to formally withdraw it. You can just not enforce it. And since it's not showing up on any docket anywhere, that is what I take it to mean the Wayfarer people have done, have just said, okay, you don't have to comply with those. They may have reached some deal that they put in an email, like you have now agreed that we don't have to comply with these subpoenas. Our obligations are over. The question is, why? So I have read a whole bunch of different articles looking at it from all different angles. I've read all the statements from the different parties, and I'm going to tell you what I see. And because I know that the Reddit crowd, where most of the like super, support Blake at all costs crowd is, who, are going to disagree with me and say I don't know what I'm talking about. I have been an in-house lawyer, and when you're an in-house lawyer, one of the main things that you do in a very large organization, and one of the things that you do in that role is respond to subpoenas that come to the organization. I did that and I tracked it for, I think like the first 3 years I did it, and it was between 100 and 200 subpoenas a year. So a huge part of my job was getting subpoenas, deciding what laws apply. Do we turn them over? You call the lawyer who sent them. Okay, I'll give you this, but not this. Okay, how do you want this? Do you need a records custodian affidavit? So they can say whatever they want, but I know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to civil subpoenas. Okay, so this is the Deadline article. So a lot of the other articles, the main quote in it is the Lively statement. And I'll let Chris break down all the PR stuff. But the Lively statement is very like, of course, we're so happy they've withdrawn these harassing subpoenas, and there's lots of adjectives and adverbs about what horrible subpoenas these were and how they were trying to use Taylor Swift as clickbait and all that kind of stuff. But that's the Lively people. I want to know what the people who are actually the parties to the subpoena, the ones who sent it and the ones who had to respond to it, actually said. So here's what it appears. So Deadline reports in an unexpected move, which I don't know that it was unexpected, but whatever. The director has withdrawn the paperwork seeking information from Swift. So this is the subpoena. Part of the reason, for fuck's sake, Deadline, can y'all get a paralegal over there or phone a friend lawyer or something? It's not a summons. A summons is the document you put on top of a complaint when you initiate a lawsuit. This is not a summons. This is a subpoena. Good God. But let's just put the right word in. Part of the reasons the subpoena was dropped was because the details that Baldoni and Cruz sought were provided, I hear. Now, I am obviously, again, not an expert on leaking things to the media, but it sounds like somebody in the Baldoni camp said to Deadline, yeah, we're withdrawing the subpoenas because we got what we wanted, right? Which, of course, would benefit the Wayfarer people to say. But what say Tay-Tay, right? So they then go in and say, having said that, reps for Baldoni, Wayfarer, the execs, the publicists, no one responded to a request for comment. So no formal statement from the Wayfarer side. And then Taylor said, no comment. So the people who sent the subpoena and the people who had to respond to the subpoena are both saying nothing. That tells me that it's very likely that that's because they made a deal and they worked something out. Now, I fully expect in the next 24 to 48 hours for all kinds of people to lose their goddamn minds and talk about they withdrew, the Wayfarer people withdrew it because they knew they couldn't win. And you can have whatever theories you want. But I'm here to tell you, if you send a subpoena, first of all, if you send a subpoena in a civil case and you've gone through all of the steps, so you've sent out the notice that you're going to send the subpoena, and you've gotten the responses back from all the parties in the case, and then you've had the subpoena served, and then, you've gotten the objections back, and then you see that a motion to quash has been filed. If you go through all of that and you have in your back pocket the only thing they need to win that motion to quash is some reasonable basis that there's information that they can discover that's relevant to the case. And we all saw the affidavit. They have it. The only reason not to do that is because you can do it without doing that work and without spending that money. In a case as contentious as this one, or frankly, in most cases, you would not go to all the trouble to do the notice, send the subpoena, have the conversations, and then withdraw it before you've even had a chance to respond to the court and tell them why it's legitimate. I mean, you can hate Brian Friedman if you want to, but Brian Friedman is not the kind of lawyer who's just going to say, well, I'm not even going to try to respond to this motion to quash because there's a 10% chance I might lose, and that's really going to hurt my feelings. That's not how this case is going. You abandon the subpoena and you don't file anything in the court because you don't have to. Because you got what you wanted, or you at least got enough that you can live with what there is. So that is my take. Now, I don't know if Venable will actually close the DC case or if they will just let it sit there and die. They might. But again, the fact that neither the people sending the subpoena nor the person responding to the subpoena have made any public comment about what happened reads to me as those people figuring out a way to resolve it amongst themselves, and that part of that resolution was, we both agree that neither one of us will comment on this publicly. And the good news is that with something like this, at some point in the future, we will probably know. Because if Wayfarer got that document, that communication that Friedman was tipped off about, if any of that turns out to be true, hopefully we'll see it. And if it all turns out to not be true, and the deal they came to was Swift's people saying to Friedman, I don't know who this anonymous caller was, but we can show you why all of these things are untrue. You're barking up the wrong tree. Then now we'll know that too, because we'll never see it. So either way, when you're sending a subpoena because you've been told by a source that information exists, either having it confirmed that it doesn't exist or having it confirmed that it does exist and getting to see what they can show you, either one of those is satisfying the reason you sent the subpoena in the first place. That's my take. But everyone's going to say something different, so I'm going to strap in.